morning, everyone, or good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Sunday check-in session, a half hour of Dharma, reflection, and community connections. My name's Priscilla, and I'm checking in from cloudy Sydney today. So if you're a new member to the community, please accept our wholehearted welcome. And if you have any questions about our practices and topics, we're all here to help. And if you're one of our regular friends, welcome back. It is customary in Australia to begin any meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of our land. So in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we walk, study, and reside, the Wodi Wodi people of the Dharawal Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I also pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all are. The check-in sessions have been developed by our Communities of Practice team and the entire community. These sessions aim to develop a reflective practice in response to changes, guided by humanistic Buddhism, who would like to cultivate our practices and build memorable friendships. For the June sessions, we enjoyed having Venerable Mel Guang share the Bodhi Light Tales. And today we return to meeting the authors of the book Cultivating Compassion. We are delighted today to have Jane Wang, who is based in Canada, and speaking to us about an area which she has great passion for and research and expertise in. Her chapter is Buddhist Informed Humanistic Responses to Gender-Based Violence. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. Should I just take it over? Okay, great. Thanks for inviting me, Priscilla. And thank you. I'm really glad to be here today with all of the members of this community of practice. I'm going to help us kind of ease into this session. I know it's a big topic, can be a very sensitive and triggering topic. So I do want to just remind everyone to take it. If you have any kind of, any kind of sensations, please note them and then do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. I will help us kind of try to situate ourselves by guiding a quick 2 to 3 minute meditation. So one of the things I was reflecting on while prepping for this session is how much listening and deep listening is part of my everyday life as a researcher. Whether that's listening to my colleagues, but also listening to the stories that I have the privilege of getting to hold and to listen to be a part of, essentially when we engage in that listening and sharing practice. And so I want to invite us all to do our own sort of deep listening, to do our own mindful listening. And I invite you to find a space, a position that's comfortable, seated, standing, whatever is comfortable. If you feel comfortable, also, I would like to invite you to close your eyes. Give you guys a second to just open up your ears, open up your heart, your sensations to any sounds that might be coming to you at the moment. This could be your own breath, your own heartbeat. Maybe even noise or busyness in your own mind or thoughts. Just note them. If you find yourself drawn to a sound externally, maybe birds, or sounds on the streets, or sound in your room, go with that. Hold space for whatever is coming up in this moment. When you're ready, let's bring our awareness back to some of those more internal sounds, our breath, our heartbeat. Giving that love and attention and non-judgmental awareness. And I invite you back into our more virtual space. We'll continue on. Again, a reminder, if anything ever triggers you in this session, please do take time for yourself. So, Priscilla, thank you. Um, so, as Priscilla mentioned, and as you can see here, the title of my book chapter is Buddhist Informed Humanistic Responses to Gender-Based Violence. And this actually came out of a master's research project I was doing while I was at Nantian. And so it was kind of marrying my two passions, which was Buddhism, as well as what I've been researching and doing policy analysis on for a while, which was gender-based violence. And so while I did that, I kind of uncovered, that there are instances of gender-based violence that occur in international Buddhist sanghas. And some of them are kind of well-known cases that have occurred intergenerationally in the sense that several teachers have done it within a sangha. And so I kind of wanted to look a bit more at sort of how did those Buddhist communities respond to those particular cases or those particular kind of patterns of gender-based violence. And so specifically for this book chapter, I talk about 5 Western Buddhist teachers, and that's mainly because of my limitation as a English speaker. So I focused on Western Buddhist teachers, and looking particularly at how they interpreted compassion, karuna, and how they use that to kind of make sense of gender-based violence that they personally sometimes experienced or that witnessed or that they have helped other Sangha members sort of unpack. And so I kind of want to share those 3 main findings with you guys today, and then we can have a discussion on those findings or any of the other discussion questions. So Priscilla, next slide. Thanks. So the first finding I speak to in detail is about compassion as a social action and social ethics. So those 2 really go hand in hand. That compassion is very much gearing us as individuals, as human beings, as Buddhist practitioners to be action oriented. But it also orients us to be collective oriented. So it means we are very much in terms of trying to understand how we situate ourselves within a collective, which also means that suffering that of other individuals, in a sense, become a collective suffering. And with that, you hold a responsibility to address that. There's a collective responsibility to respond to that collective suffering. And so here I have a quote from Roshi Joan Halifax, where she's talking about her own sort of personal experiences with gender-based violence, but noting that exactly what I said, that Buddhists share this karma, that there is kind of a shared suffering, but that we can all be a part of the correction process, or we could all be a part of the processes of addressing this collective suffering. And so this compassionate response really in this way of interpreting compassion is really about speaking up. It's about finding ways to intervene. It's about finding ways to orient yourselves towards other people's harm or to other people's suffering in a way that doesn't create further harm, that you are really trying to stop those kind of patterns of harm that the collective is experiencing. So that's in a nutshell what the first finding is. Priscilla? if you want to go to the next. Thank you. So this other one is a kind of more at at a personal level, and I find it to be very, very profound. And I was listening and reading about these Buddhist teachers speak about compassion as enabling us to bear witness to trauma. And so compassion has this capacity somehow to allow us to confront our traumatic experiences with kind of a spaciousness and an openness, that it allows individuals to hold and acknowledge trauma and the traumatic experience, but also sort of enable people to go beyond that trauma. It enables like an inner transformation and an inner empowerment to recognize that and to say to oneself, yes, this thing happened to me. Yes, I acknowledge that it was traumatic for me, but I am also much more than that experience as an individual. So without compassion, that capacity to hold and to bear witness to trauma, to begin that healing, would probably be greatly hindered. So that was kind of one of the findings that was coming out. Yes, next please. Thank you. And then the third, which is sort of interrelated to what I was just speaking about, but sort of more, I guess, at a even more meta, like meta as an META level. But this idea that compassion also imbues wisdom, or that it helps us to cultivate a peer view. And this could be a peer view of the situation. So in the case of gender-based violence, the Buddhist teachers were talking about that they recognized that the teacher was a perpetrator, that they did harm certain individuals. You cannot deny that is a fact for people. That's a reality for those victims. But at the same time, their teachings also had a powerful spiritual effect, and that their 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 teachings as Buddhist teachers, also supported the Sangha. And so it was really about holding this kind of two truths at the same time, without going into a very reactive mindset. And so this wisdom that can develop in this peer view of the situation, which is, I think, again, also very profound. The other aspect they were talking about, the wisdom of compassion, was being able to see that the Dharma is separate from the teacher slash perpetrator, so that in it of itself, the Dharma um, is something that, we make sense of ourselves, that we kind of interpret, and that we can. There's a lot of tension, I think, for some of these witnesses of gender-based violence, where they didn't understand how this could happen in a setting like the Sangha. But the Western teachers were encouraging them to say, listen, the Dharma is separate from what has been experienced, doesn't negate what you experience, but also it can go beyond, it can help you, you can still rely on the Dharma. And then also another interpretation of this was that sanghas itself are not immune to kind of the wider societal issues or the drivers that we see out there. So things like gender inequality that enable gender-based violence, or that they enable, these kind of more negative patriarchal relationships, do occur in certain sanghas, and that we just have to be aware of that. We have to use our pure view to acknowledge that, to not be blinded by it, and again, to take that kind of social action, social ethic, to stop it, to speak out, to intervene. And then at the same time, if there are people who are experiencing it, to bear witness to that, to allow them to have that space, and allow yourself to have that space. So that's kind of my chapter in a nutshell. I feel like I held it in within the less than 6 to 7 minutes. So I will open it up to a discussion. So these are kind of the themes that I wanted to sort of see what the group was taking away. The first one is, how has compassion supported you in responding, or someone you know, in responding to a traumatic experience or potentially an ongoing trauma that you were living at the moment? And then the second question is more of a kind of a public policy question, but how can Buddhist teachings, not just compassion, but other Buddhist teachings, how can they be integrated into public policy or community-led responses to gender-based violence? So this community could be a Buddhist Sangha, or it could be other communities that might be experiencing gender-based. Leave it at that. Oh, and this. So I these are for Australia specific, just because I know most people, well, some people in this group are from Australia, but Lifeline, domestic violence, if you are experiencing domestic violence or sexual violence, call 1-800-RESPECT. And then actually it's this No to Violence is also a really great resource if you know anybody who is using violence. You can also refer them to No to Violence. I believe Priscilla has other resources. Oh, later on.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jane, for gently bringing this really important topic to us and summing it up in those three beautiful points. Compassion as action, as bearing witness, and finding wisdom in compassion. So as per usual, so Jane set two excellent questions for us to go through. We'll be placed in groups of 3 to 4 to share and discuss. In this discussion, we recommend you spend some time getting to know each other and then discussing the question. There will be some Zoom notifications to guide you, but feel free to let the flow of discussions lead you as well. Our sessions are guided by Metta, double T, which is unconditional love and kindness for all sentient beings. So let's use these breakout sessions to express and receive loving kindness to and from one another. Take time to pause, to share, and to listen. We'll also ask you to share some of your findings with a larger group at the end of the discussion, but for now, let's go to the rooms. See you all back in 15 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Have we got everyone? I hope you all enjoyed the breakout rooms. And if you've got any comments from the chat groups, remember to type them in the chat box below, because our poster team will collect all the wisdom and share them with the community. So we're running a bit short of time, so I'm going to share screen and close the session, and we'll talk some more after this. So we really hope the check-in session was helpful to you all and you experienced the unconditional love and compassion of this community. But for anyone who might be experiencing a greater need than what we today could meet, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And you can also reach out to the professional organisations on the screen. So next week, we continue the Meet the Authors series, and Grace Ewart will continue and share her chapter from the book Cultivating Compassion. So as we check out today, let's recite the dedication of merits together to send love and compassion to whoever is in need.
Let us now dedicate the goodness of what you have done to all living beings. May kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all beings. May Chan, Pure Land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our gratitude and humility give rise to great vows.
Thank you, Jane, for your time and generous sharing today. And thank you, Lai Chin, for being our IT master behind the scenes. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. So now we'll have our usual plenary session. So please hang around if you have time. Otherwise, we'll see you again next Sunday at 11 a.m.